listening to Filling the Storehouse podcast. I'm David.
And I'm Stuart, and we want to walk with you on the journey to living the abundant life through faith, family, and freedom. Our goal is to refine our why while helping you find yours. Together, achieve our best and highest purpose. In the end, we'll drive each other to intentionally fill our storehouse. Storehouse listeners, what's up? This is Stu. Hey, before we get into this episode, I have one favor to ask of you. Go find our Facebook group. It's called Filling the Storehouse Podcast Facebook group, and join us. We're trying to grow the community, grow the tribe, to promote abundance and service and giving, and just share lots of cool stuff with you. We post clips from our podcast episodes, good books we're reading, information on our guests, previous guests, blog posts, just some cool, funny pictures, just lots of good stuff going on in our Facebook group. So would love for you to join us and tell someone else about us. We'd really greatly appreciate it. And go fill your storehouse. Make it a great day. See ya. Yeah, what up?
What's up?
Hey, Dave, you are not allowed to take any potty breaks during this call.
Hey, look, man, I want to be real. Okay. I want to be real with our audience. And especially if you watch us on YouTube, there are times when I get up and walk out. That's why I have wireless headphones, because I hear the entire thing. I never miss a word you're saying. I time it very appropriately. And hey, man, sometimes you got to go to the bathroom, dude. Like if you hydrate, sometimes you got to go to the bathroom, Stu. So I'm not I refuse to be bullied into not peeing because of you.
Please be sure to mute yourself before you excuse yourself to go potty.
Dude, I think of all these things, right? That's why my mic is set up. It's connected to my computer, because that would be highly embarrassing if I forgot to mute. And I use my mic on the headphones, and then we get a little bit of additional little added content that we weren't anticipating.
Shad, David thinks it's really funny when he'll call me. He tries to call me when he's going to use the restroom, and he purposefully keeps it unmuted to talk to me on the phone. So
there are individuals out there that need that support. I mean, he
does
need
be
one of them.
He needs a lot of support.
Today is about you, but I want to make one point extremely very clear. You know why I started doing that?
Why?
Who did it first? Stuart. Who had done that for the longest? Because I didn't have wireless headphones forever, and somebody, and I'll say enlightened me. You showed me the way.
I don't know what you're
because
talking about.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, of course not.
Hey,
it's not about us and our bladder issues today, Stuart. That's not what this episode. This isn't the bladder episode.
I wanted to give one shout out before we get into your story, Shad. My buddy Will Gurry, he played baseball with me at the Naval Academy, and we ran into each other playing golf at the Air Force Academy in a tournament. And he started up a new golf apparel clothing company, and he sent me this shirt from Wild One. It's the most comfortable shirt I've ever worn. Literally, I'm not gonna lie, it's freaking awesome. So for any golfers out there, you got to check out wild1.com. I'll put the show note link in the show notes. But Will Gurry, thank you for the gear, man. It's awesome. And that's my shout out.
Hey, and Shad, the P thing is not too far off. We're going to get into some ultramarathon talk here. And I tell you, in me being an ultramarathon runner, I'm always intrigued by, you're going 30 miles running, and I'm like, man, I wonder if these guys just go to the bathroom on themselves, if they're just pushing hard. I don't know. It's one of the things I'm curious about.
So I'll just tell you, there are some that do. Some are very hardcore. Me, not so much.
Not so much. And
because where I'm running in the trails and whatnot, there's usually a tree not far away.
Nice.
And it's more than 30 miles there, David. It's more like 100 miles, right?
I thought I said 30 hours. I thought I said 30 hours, not 30 miles, 30 hours. 30 hours of running.
Yeah. Either way.
No, I got either way.
Well, Shad, welcome to Filling the Storehouse podcast.
Thank you.
At five minutes of the conversation. So, Shad, you joined the Storehouse Mastermind just recently. You've also been a part of the War Room Mastermind. We've connected quite a few times. You're a real estate investor. You're an Army helicopter pilot. Lots of awesome stuff going on. But if you could, just for our audience, fill in the gaps. Give us a little background about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, Shad Baldwin. Joined the Army back in 1991 as a junior in high school. Went enlisted for 11 years. 2001, got a chance to go to helicopter flight school. Flew H-58 Scouts for a year. I was all National Guard up in Washington. 2003, got a chance to transition to the Chinook. Ultimately, the best helicopter ever built.
It is pretty rad. I'm not gonna lie.
So it's one of the few that can actually carry itself. So,
yeah.
Went to Afghanistan in 2005, all of 2005. Came back, went professional helicopter pilot. Flew everywhere from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up to Alaska. EMS, utility, you name it, I did it in a helicopter. Took a break in service in 2009 to 19 because my wife and I made a move to California, and she didn't want me the risk of deployment or anything else because we were moving. 19, had a calling to go back. Basically, after we had lost our house in the campfire, I needed something. So I went back to the Guard. They transitioned me to the Black Hawk. Never quite fit correctly in the Black Hawk. And so just beginning of the year, 2022, got a chance to go back to a Chinook unit and just finished the F model transition. In that time frame, I took up ultra trail running, and an ultra is defined, before anybody gets any big ideas, anything over 26.1 miles. So it can be 26.2 miles, and it's considered an ultra.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's the distinction that somebody somewhere at some time decided to make.
But do they have an average though? Is there a typical, like, it's, because I imagine most are not 26.2 miles. Is there like a 50 is the average, or what's the average?
The short ones are 31 miles, 50 Ks. The long ones are, most people think of them as 100 milers, because that's kind of the, I don't want to say the standard, what people think of as ultras, but it can be anywhere in between. And there's some of them that go up over 200 miles.
That sounds absolutely horrible. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just gonna say, it sounds absolutely horrible.
David, it's like we'll get into. It's a mindset thing.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I want to dig into that. But first, David, what's the farthest distance that you've ever run? Is it 1.5 miles for the Navy PRT?
No, let's be clear. I haven't run the Navy PRT for many years.
You bicycle.
If you have I biked that thing. Yeah. No, dude, but in Pensacola, before I had that huge knee surgery in Pensacola, I was running those wood chip trails were amazing, dude. I got down to like 190, which is pretty low for me. And I was running about 6-7 miles a day.
Nice.
But then that all went bye-bye with big knee surgery. So now it's about a mile. I get a good strong mile in.
Hey, but you go on hikes. You go on long hikes. I'll give you credit.
Yeah. I don't run, but
and that's honestly a good portion of ultramarathoning is hiking. People don't realize we don't run the whole thing. we call it the ultra shuffle. And as
Nice.
long as you're moving forward, you're in the game.
You're winning. You're winning.
Well, let's get into this, man, because I'm really
Wait, sorry, before you do that, just for
Yeah.
context, sorry to interrupt you, Stu. Shad, what is when you said at that time you started getting ultramarathon? Give me a context for time. When was this? Is this a few years ago, 10 years ago? How long ago?
So my wife and I ran our first marathon in 2014, and it was the SIM, California International Marathon. Absolutely hated it. Just completely hated it. Because, the military, we were forced to run. At least most of us that don't have knee surgeries and whatnot, we're forced to run. So it was an unpleasant experience. And she came to me that 2013 springtime and said, I'm going to train for a marathon in January. I'm like, and I just blew up. I was like, you're going to ruin our whole summer. That's all we're going to end up doing is running, and just went off. But she joined a group and started training. And because of my work, I couldn't quite join the group, but I trained with her, and we ran it. She finished 40 minutes ahead of me. Now, mind you guys, if your wife finishes ahead of you in a race, just accept it gracefully and say, congratulations, dear. I hobbled across it, but I finished it. And we kind of progressed from there, did some halves and whatnot. And we were talking over the weekend. We didn't get into hardcore trail running until after the campfire, which was 2018, November of 2018. We lost our house, living in a fifth wheel, needed something of some normalcy. And we'd been running quite a bit since then, ran a dozen half marathons and night trail marathon, some other distances, but we locked into this trail. I would say probably December of 18, January of 19. And it was on like Donkey Kong at that point. Once we strictly ran trails as much as we could. And she ran the first 50K locally here in a place called Butte Meadows. Beautiful area to run up in the forest. And she ran that. And of course, being who I am, I had to keep up with her. And I found another 50K, and then we did a 50-miler. And and kind of progressed from there.
So it sounds to me, just from hearing your story here, is it something that you started just because it's something that you and your wife can do together? It's something that like you connect with and do as a couple, as a team, if you will?
Actually it is. We run almost all the time together. We run most of the races together. We know we're not going to win. We're both 50 years old and not fast, but we enjoy it. It's time we can spend together. The training, we try to do a bunch of our training together, but there's times where my schedule or her schedule doesn't work out, so we split it. And especially if we got to share a treadmill, like when the smoke blows in out here in California, we end up inside. And I'll tell you what is painful is when you got to spend 6 or 8 hours on a treadmill trying to get your mileage in.
That sounds awful.
It is, but we did go out and buy a nice iFit with the big screen in front of it. So we're running on the trails even though we're running inside.
Nice.
But yeah, we do it all together, and we just if we can stay together during the race, we stay together, because in an ultra marathon, on actually in any race or long distance, you go through ups and downs. There's different phases that mentally you go through. Sometimes you'll be completely high, and high up and I can do this and I'm strong and I'm solid. And then literally the next second, you're like, this sucks. I can't make it another step. I'm done. And so when you have somebody to bounce that off of, and we kind of have an unwritten rule where we won't say how bad we're hurting. We'll just be kind of like, hey, I'm getting into a low. All right, well, let's talk about something. And so that's where we go from there. Yeah.
Dude, that's good. So I've done one marathon in my life. It was the San Diego Rock and Roll Marathon. It was probably 15 years ago now. No, not yeah. I think it was about 15 years ago. And I did it with my bride, Crystal, and it was pre-kids. But I tell you what, man, it was a period where the two of us felt like really connected, and there was a mission and a goal that we had together as a team, and we would go out on runs together and enjoy, running the coast of San Diego. And same thing, like, there were some parts where like one of us was hurting, we'd lift each other up and kind of hold each other accountable to getting through it. And I'll never forget on the day of the marathon, which I hated all the training prior to, but similar, like I felt connected with her. It was a thing that we did together. But on the marathon itself, like we were literally getting passed by like 70-year-old women. And I was getting so angry. And we were kind of trying to do like the walk run style, like where we walk for a little bit and then run and walk and run. And we were walking at one point, and like the 70-year-old lady passed us, and I was like, Crystal, let's go. We're getting passed by 70-year-olds. And I got all angry and pissed off. She was like, and then she started yelling at me on the run, and we were like having like a fight, like on the marathon. It was so funny. I was just getting so annoyed by getting passed by 70-year-olds. But no question in that. It was just a really funny story that I just thought about.
Yeah. No, I agree.
That's awesome.
I get passed all the time. And kind of like, oh. And what's strange is you never expect the person passing you. You're like, really? They're passing me?
Yeah.
How can that person be passing me?
Yeah. I was like 30 at the time, and there was like 70-year-old ladies passing me, and I was getting very angry. But
dude, so both those things, I think, and they both hit kind of a chord. One, both being, Shad, when you're talking about you and your wife doing this, one, it's obviously it's amazing, and in the mastermind we talk about, one of our primary goals would be better husbands, fathers, friends, and leaders. And I think, I was thinking about, not only is it awesome that you guys connected that way, you found the time and found something to do to, that's hard, that brings you together, but it also made me think of all the dudes in the mastermind and just in general accountability, right? Just the hard parts of life that we do together, whether it's a run or, we're feeling low. It really struck me for whatever reason, as you were talking about that, just this power of accountability to get through these hard things. So a lot of people think of running and, marathons, ultramarathons is almost a solitary type thing, right? As people doing it, it's a sport that you're competing against yourself, but there's ample opportunity to really grow together. And I love how you highlighted that. And then, I also, I don't know why it just struck me, but never judge a book by its cover, right? And when you look and you see, because I found that, and it has huge implications in business, in life, obviously, but some of I've talked to, I make a habit of talking to the folks that come by and put the do work in the house, right? Lay floors, and recently had a huge lesson from a guy that brought in the stone, and I just was talking to him, all tatted up, this Latino guy, and we're just talking. And as we talked, he's like, yeah, I run I have a music studio. I have this stone business. I have I'm a coach for my kids' basketball team, like all this stuff. Right. And me, like, I honestly, to be honest, like I looked at him and I did not think that all these things were going on. And so I just love the idea too, that you both bring up of not judging a book by its cover. And I think it's so powerful. Like, you're getting all these lessons from running, right? Like these are hard things you're doing together, and you're getting lessons on life, on like, this person's passed me. Wow. Well, what else do they bring to the table? And this connection and this accountability. And I think maybe I need to start running more. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, start doing something.
I would say. I encourage everybody to run. I mean, our bodies are built to run. They were designed to run. And yeah, I always encourage everybody, and I tell people, and people come to me all the time about, oh, that's so great, and you run long distances, whatnot. I could never do that. And I'm like, yeah, you could, because it's ultra running ultimately is 80% mental, 20% physical. And you can build up to it. I've attempted 1/100 last June of 2021. My wife and I attempted our first 100-miler. And I mean, we trained hard. We were out running 40 miles on a Saturday and 20 miles on a Sunday. And throughout the week, I mean, we'd run 15 on Wednesday. And so we were running a lot of miles and enjoying it, because when we go out for a Saturday run, we're going to be out there all day. We've just accepted that, whatever it is. And so we thought let me back up. I thought we were well trained and we were ready for this 100. We had dialed in our nutrition, because it also has to deal with nutrition, because you take in the wrong thing and you get an upset stomach, and we all know where that can lead. There isn't a nice place to sit down and look at your iPad as you're taking care of business out there.
Yeah.
So we had dialed all that in, our nutrition, our hydration, and all that. At least I thought we had. And we get out there, and it was up in South Dakota, near the Black Hills. It was actually out of Sturgis. And we took off running. The race started at 10 o'clock, and we're going to do this. And like you said, Stu, so one of our things was we would run 5 minutes, walk 2. And that worked pretty well for us, because we could take in our nutrition, we could take in our water, and we had a timed thing to do it. Well, we get out on the race course, and some of it gets to be single track, and we get in a Congo line going up the hill or whatever. And I'm like, we got to pass on. We got to pass. We got to stay on our 5 and 2. Well, so we're trying to outrun people uphill in the brush when they're on the trail, and just pushing too hard. And we did good. We slowed down. Some of them would pass us, and then we would pass them, and it was back and forth. And we had figured out our time hacks to hit each aid station, and we were ahead of our time hacks by almost 2 hours at one point. So we were like, oh, sweet. We're going to finish this in about 30 hours. We planned 33. And it sprinkled on us during the day. Okay, no big deal. Sun came back out. Well, just before dark, we were 2 hours ahead, over 2 hours ahead of our time. Just before dark, it rained. And if you've been there to South Dakota, when the sun goes down, it gets cool. Well, it rained on us just before dark. And she had brought her good rain jacket. We don't buy a lot of gear, but when we buy gear, we try to buy good gear. I wanted to go lightweight, so I brought more of my summer rain jacket, the one that just kind of repels light rain. Well, it was a hard downpour. And then it got dark. And then it got cold. And I started to get cold, but I'm running. I'm generating heat. I'm doing okay. And we came into aid station at midnight, the 48-mile aid station. We had, was it 48? Anyways, 42 to 48, somewhere around there. And I was done. My mental capacity had completely shut off. I was depressed. I was done. And she's like, let's just sit here, get some soup in, because the aid stations always have warm soup and whatnot and broth and stuff for you to put in. I'm like, nope, I'm done. I'm gonna drop. Well, my wife doesn't like to run at night by herself, which I don't blame her. So she was gonna drop with me. Well, come to find out, I had a mild case of hypothermia. And we figured that out the next day after we got back to our RV and warmed up and slept and whatnot. I started going through the mental cues. You know, in the military, we're all taught heat casualty and hypothermia and how to recognize it in everybody else. And we should be able to recognize it in ourselves, but you don't realize how your mind starts to shut down. And it's like, I recognize that now. Well, now I didn't only drop from a race that I knew I'd trained well for. I had not upset, but I had disappointed my wife. And that was the largest thing for that race, disappointing my wife. I came back and I made a commitment to myself and to her that would not happen again. And at that point, I hired a coach. You know, in real estate, we always talk about hiring a coach, surrounding ourselves with masterminds and whatnot. But I had never thought about it in my running because you can pull anything off the internet. I mean, there's training programs like galore out there for ultra marathon training. But I wanted to take it to the next level and make sure that didn't happen again. And today, this day, it still weighs on me. And so I have a running coach. I actually found him off iFit. His name is Zach Marion. I call him a dear friend too, because he helps me with the mindset part of it in the ultra marathoning. Because he's ran ultras, he's ran lots of 100s. He's sponsored and whatnot. But he takes a very pragmatic, I think pragmatic's the right word. I don't know, maybe not. But he takes a very realistic, hey, life is life and it's going to happen. You're going to get DNFs, did not finishes. You're going to have bad run days. And he's like, let's look at it. Let's analyze it and let's move on. We'll work around it. So, big game changer. So that's what drives me every day, and keeping the mindset going. And for change of mindset, and I didn't realize it, and I know you guys talk about it all the time on the podcast, and we talk about it in the masterminds. A mindset shift can happen on your own, but it doesn't usually. It usually takes external factors, accountability partners, coaches, other people, or other factors that have to be strong enough to change your why, change your mindset.
Yeah, dude, I 100% agree. And it's so awesome that, you know, you can take these lessons learned, right? Like, and this is what you're doing. Like you're attempting this 100-mile race and you didn't finish, but now you can go back and analyze. And it's not a failure. It's just a lesson, right? You're going to take those lessons, you're going to analyze, you're going to break it down, and you're going to be better next time. And you're going to take all those lessons learned and make some shifts, make some changes. And then adding a coach, you know, to help you even get better. Like that's what life is all about, man. Like that's what being an entrepreneur is all about. A real estate investor, a dad, a husband, a friend, a leader. Like you go after it, right? And you make an attempt at these hard things, and you challenge yourself to do these hard things, and you might not finish the race, but you're going to learn a whole lot of lessons along the way and get better from it every single time. And so like that mindset, just having that mindset is just, it's powerful. And I love that, you're bringing these ideas from learning about running to just all other areas and aspects of our life. I mean, David does it a lot for me. It's just like, he's going to hold me accountable, and he's going to bring another, perspective to things that are going on in my life. And it really helps me with that. And other people in our mastermind group are going to do the same thing. And I 100% agree. Like, you've got to have somebody else that's not so close to you, that's going to help you, hold you accountable, and bring another perspective to you. I'm curious, that first race, after you didn't finish it, like, did you immediately go back and like start like kind of jotting down everything that you kind of learned, and here's what we're going to do next time better?
I did. I'm always jotting down notes.
Yeah.
I just, because I want to remember things. So I jot them down, and some of the notes are just for my information. Not necessarily that I'm going to change anything. Just here's what we did. And like my coach says, I mean, it may work this time, it might not work next time. So it's just, it helps me figure out my body and my mental states during these different times. And I think you can plan, and especially on ultras, you can plan down to the very detail. I mean, as a pilot, we plan our routes and everything, ETA plus or minus 30 seconds. Well, I took that to the ultra side of it. Well, what I didn't count on is temperatures. I didn't count on the trail. I didn't count on other runners. Because on that ultra, that 100-mile, there was 17,000 feet of elevation change throughout the 100 miles. So when you say 100 miles is no big deal if it's all level.
Yeah.
I mean, it
is a big deal. It is.
Yeah.
But adding that elevation change to it is an ultra big deal.
Yeah, exactly. And mind you, it wasn't from 0 to 17,000 and then back down. It's up a 500 or up 1,000 and then back down 300 and then up. And so it's always changing. And that's the thing I love about ultras, whether it be a 30K, 50K, 50-miler, 100-miler. I love the always changing terrain. And so it helps to have an idea how you're going to react on different terrain, but you can't plan. I can't go there and say, okay, for this 5 miles, it climbs 1,000 feet. I'm going to be able to hold a 12-minute pace. Because I don't know, until I run that, I don't know what's on there. And I may plan for a 70-degree day and it may be a 90-degree day. Well, that's going to change my pace. So you have to have these parameters. And that's been a big shift for me from the planning ETA plus or minus 30 seconds. And I think that's where I got into a mistake is, we're 2 hours ahead. If we can keep 10 seconds off a mile, we'll be 2.5 hours ahead by the next aid station. Even better. And I think I got into that and realized that now I realize I can't do that. I got to be out there. I got to accept it, accept what the terrain gives me, Mother Nature gives me, and live from learned lessons.
Man, I love that. And, I think one of the other things that you said that really stuck is a lot of times from from a perceived failure, right? A DNF, that as sucky as that is, it can really propel you to the next level. It can drive you to make decisions that are, like you said, whether you join another mastermind, you get a coach, you get a different accountability part, you get something that then propels you to the next level, because you have a choice to make at that point, right? You can sit down and be like, oh, that sucks, I can't do 100 miles. Or you can say something has to change because I did not meet the expectation that I set. So something has to change. I have to introduce something else or change something up to achieve even a higher level in the future. And I love how you took action and went for the coach, and I'm super excited to see where that takes you in the future. And I'm kind of curious, how has this practically, how has this habit of running and ultramarathons and all these physical endeavors that you're undertaking, how has that practically changed the way you do business, the way you do military, the way you do life in general, but specifically professionally?
So for one, when I'm out running, even though my wife and I do a lot of our training and whatnot, there's still a lot of quiet time. I have a lot of time to think about where the business is going, what I'm going to do, my next steps, things I need to get done. I have a lot of time for that. But it also has helped me for the mindset portion of it, to accept that even though I may lay down this plan for my business, I've shared with you guys my vivid vision. I've laid that out. That's my vision. That's where I hope to be. But I don't necessarily know what's going to happen in the next 3 years. And I have to accept that. Matter of fact, just before this call, like I was sharing with Stu, I had a call from a chimney sweep for a short-term rental that I purchased. Well, I have to replace two fireplaces in it. It's not going to be cheap. So adapting and overcoming, and the running has really allowed me to see that I may plan a path, I may plan the stops, but it's ever changing. And it's allowed me to accept that. It's allowed me to not be so rigid that it would be detrimental. Because I think we as humans get into this rigid rhythm. Things have to work this way, or they're a failure, like you said, or something's wrong. Well, not necessarily. It's what's a failure to me might not be a failure to somebody else, or what's wrong in my mind might not be wrong in somebody else's. And so it's allowed that pliability. And every day I run 6 days a week. My wife and I have shifted our schedule, like through the mastermind. We talk about habits and whatnot, and it's awesome. We have shifted our habit. We now are up at 4:30. We're out the door by 5. We run for an hour because usually the coach gives us 60 to 90 minutes in the morning for a day for training, Tuesday through Friday. So the pliability there has helped. And knowing that things are going to change. I may get a call from work tomorrow morning and not be able to do my run. Well, we'll adapt and go from there. So,
yeah, dude, that's huge, man. I think that's such a key component to success in business and life is just the ability to adapt and overcome and shift when things change. There's so many people that just in this real estate world that we live in, there's so many people that will try their hand at real estate investing, and they'll have like one bad experience, one bad tenant, one bad property, and they stop. they give up. And, David and I have had our fair share of horrible experiences with real estate. That same phone call where you're going to have to pay a chunk of money. We had one, we had one just recently of, who was it? Like a 14-year-old kid stole his uninsured grandma's car and ran through our garage of one of our rental properties. So insurance won't cover
in one side,
in one
and
side,
out the other,
out the other. So
and the fence.
Oh yeah, and the
fence,
so, like,
garage.
You can't plan for that.
Yeah,
like no.
No.
Insurance wouldn't cover it. His insurance wouldn't cover it. His grandma's insured. She's uninsured. So like all these things, like, what do you do? Like, do you quit? Or do you figure it out? You adapt, you overcome, and you move on. There's so many people that would just like be like, I'm done with real estate. I'm going to sell this thing, take a loss, and be done with it. But no, you.
And to be fair, we were like, dude, let's just get rid of this dang house, because that was the initial reaction. We're like, this is terrible. This is how could this even? But then through accountability and taking a little break and a breather, be like, okay, this is still a cash flowing property. And
like you're not finishing a 100-mile race and running 42 or 48, dude. How many people in this world will never run 42 miles? Probably me. Probably won't ever run 42 miles. Like that's a huge success in most other people's world, and you're learning from it, you're adapting, and you're going to be better the next time you go out. So that's just a huge mindset shift for a lot of people to become successful.
Yeah. Well, I actually had a friend point that out because I posted on Facebook the next day, hey, major failure, didn't finish the race, dropped out and whatnot. And he posted back, he's like, really? You consider that a failure? You ran more than I will all month. And I saw him later on at drill a couple months later. And I'm like, well, it was kind of a failure. I mean, I didn't complete what I wanted to complete. And he's just shaking his head and he goes, how can you even think that? And it took me a long time because in my mind it was a failure, and because I didn't set out and accomplish my goal. But then as more and more people like yourself say, hey, how many people really are going to run that far? And it's made me step back and go, yeah, it's a learning experience. I'll take it, move on, and be better the next time. But the questions always come up, and I know you guys know this too, that if you continue on, and that's like you said, people give up after one bad experience with real estate. I know people that have had their house not rent for a couple months and they sell it. They're like, nope, don't want it. And I think to myself, for my race, it's like, what if I'd listened to my wife and sat there for the 15 minutes, took in some broth? We weren't in any risk of being cut. We were so far ahead of the cutoffs that they set that I could have taken 15 or 30 minutes and warmed up, had some broth, and just tried to push to the next aid station. Would have I gone past it? And that's been the big question to me. And that's why I continue to push on. To see where that limit is at, to see how far I can push. Am I ever going to win one? No. Do I want to win one? It'd be nice. Why not? But there's always going to be somebody younger. There's always going to be somebody faster. There's always going to be somebody that has trained better. I'm not going to say harder or more, but trained better than me. I'm just out there to enjoy nature. And I know, David, you go fly fishing a lot and you guys go snowboarding a lot. It's the same exact thing for me. When I'm out on the trails, it's just being out there, being around nature. And I think a lot of people get wrapped up in, oh, it's taking time away from something else. Well, yeah. But what else would you be doing? Sitting there binging on Well, I guess there's a new Game of Thrones coming out. Maybe they binge on the new Game of Thrones. That's not me. That's not what I want to do anymore. So I just always encourage people to push on, find something to do. Find your why is the big thing. We always talk about in real estate, your why. And I know you guys have talked about it and we hear it all the time. A why will get you through those hard times.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome, man. And I think, it's not just the 100-miler. The 100-miler is just a culmination of a training cycle, right? It's a milestone. It's not a destination. And I think what's incredible is, and you're highlighting it, is, and what you need to do, and I encourage you to do, is take that one event, kind of shelf it away, lessons learned from it. There's a bunch of positive to learn from it. You didn't hit your expectations, so of course there's disappointment. But all the things that built up to that, all the 40-mile Saturdays, all the 15-mile Sundays, all these different, or 20-mile Sundays, I'm sorry, I don't want to rob you of 5 miles there. All the training that you did, this journey that you've been on, and I'll also, emphasize, I bet you that on those hours of running in silence that you've had some personal and professional epiphanies, that there are things that came out that would have never come out if you didn't give yourself the time or the space to do it, and have probably set you on a trajectory that is have definitely set you on a trajectory that is different and better than you would have if not for the time and the journey that you've taken to get to these things, right? It's like any championship team. You win the championship and 5 minutes later, it's like, okay, cool. You celebrate a little bit, you hit the milestone, it's all good. And now you get back to it for the next one and the next one and the next one, right? And so I think that, there's a great lesson in that. And you highlighted it beautifully, that, and one thing that I encourage everybody to do, and you included, Shad, is to not only take those moments and learn from them and whatever, but to step back and celebrate all the other things that built up to that, to even attempting a 100-mile race. And I bet if you took stock of that, not only would it motivate you further, but you can be like, man, I've come a long way. Like, this is significant. My wife and I have come a significant distance, both literally and figuratively, to get to this point where we are now. That even, dude, I wouldn't even consider a 100-mile race, man. Like that, it's not even, it doesn't even like I've sometimes I get tired driving 100 miles. So it's not even a consideration. So I would just encourage you to take a moment, at least, just to celebrate what an incredible thing it is. And then to also, I think it's empowering to recognize, man, all these specific business breakthroughs and personal breakthroughs I've had came as a result of my time. And I think that's also important to note, quantify, and to be able to celebrate. So it's pretty awesome. There's not really a question in that. It's just from an outside, non-biased view, I'm seeing, I probably see it a little bit different than you, but I think it's significant and freaking amazing, dude.
I appreciate that. And you're right, there has been a lot of breakthroughs. And when you run yourself, I shouldn't say run, when you push yourself so far to the exhaustion point, that's where I find that breakthroughs come through, because now your mind, so in April, I ran 100K, 62 miles. And I did the first 50 with my wife because she wasn't properly all the way trained up. So I did the last 50 by myself. Well, it got to a point where my mantra was one more aid station, one more corner, one more step. That was the mantra. So, I was at that exhaustion point. And it's amazing when you push yourself to that point, whatever it be, whether you be out working or whatever, your brain focuses on the primal things. And that's where the breakthroughs come from, because now all the other clutter from the rest of your life, day, week, family, kids for you guys, kids running around screaming, and pulling on your time, that's when the breakthroughs come. When your mind is in the primal thought process. It's like, now you can clear out everything. It's like, oh, that's what I need to do to move forward. And that's what I find. And that's why I love running ultras, love going to that extreme. Don't necessarily like it the next week afterwards, but I mean, hey, there's always a price to pay.
So good, dude. Hey, I want you to plug the Running Investor. Talk about your website, what you're doing with that, your blog, and how you're kind of connecting real estate and investing world to the running world.
Yeah. So I'd invite everybody to go check it out. It's called therunninginvestor.com. Basically, what I'm going to be doing on it, and it's in its infancy, I'll tell everybody. And through the mastermind and whatnot, I've set a habit. Every Wednesday, I'm going to try to add to it. But basically, it's going to chronicle my ultra running journey. I'm going to do gear reviews that I'm using. And I'm a pilot. I say things point blank. Unlike you guys that are in leadership roles that have to say things politically correct. I'm a warrant officer in the military. I don't say things politically correct. I tell you what you need to hear.
That's right.
So I'm going to be doing that with the gear I use, the likes, what I like, what I dislike about it. I'm going to put on there my races that I've done, that I will be doing. I'll also be putting my real estate, what I'm doing in real estate on there, the good, the bad, the ugly, the problems I've had, just so people have a clear view of it. I'm also going to be putting in things in there on the mindset, helping people figure out their why, understanding the principles of real estate, investing, and why it might fit, might not fit for people. And it'll all be done point blank. It'll be no holds bars. So yeah, we go through quite a bit of gear. Figure the average pair of shoes lasts about 200 miles for a runner. And then the cushioning's done. So we're replacing shoes about every other month. So to your comment earlier, yeah, we're spending that every couple months. But it's worth it. And whatnot. So, and I want to grow my real estate. I'll be looking for investors, and I can't be a coach because I'm not trained up. I haven't taken all the formal training, so I would never claim to be a coach, but I'll be looking to mentor people, help them. One of the local running things does couch to 5K. And so I really encourage people for stuff like that. But that's basically what my website's going to be about. Like I said, it's in its infancy. Through our mastermind, we talk about habits. Well, every Wednesday is going to be my habit to post on there, and then eventually get a newsletter going. So yeah, it's we'll see where it goes, and what comes out of it. But got some big races coming up. November, I got one coming up in just outside of Las Vegas. It's another 100K. Next year, my wife and I are looking at doing a 100-miler up in another one up in South Dakota. But my bucket list one, and I want to give a shout out to this, is a February of 2024. I want to go to New Zealand and run the Tanawera 100. It's supposed to be an epic race. Yeah, so that's my goal.
So you said February of 2024?
Yep.
So we'll try to get this mastermind popping, and maybe we'll do a New Zealand retreat to all meet there and support you, but also have some good fellowship out in New Zealand. So hey, let's put that on the calendar. It'd be awesome.
Hey, that works. And I also want to say, I mean, if you follow my website, my wife and I's hope is to do a 50K or longer in every state. So I'll be putting, when I'm coming to different states and where they're at, and I'm always looking for running partners, fast, slow, short distance, long distance, even if you can hold with me for a mile. I'm not fast, I'll tell you, 12 to 14-minute miles. So most people can keep up with us.
For the first 50.
Yeah. But I'm always looking for people to go run with, love to connect with people as we're out on the trail. If we're out there doing a race and people are bored and want to come support us, be a crew, we're always looking for crew to help out. So, yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, I also want to highlight one thing. Shad shared this with us, but it's not your natural personality to want to put yourself out there to do the things that you're doing according to you, right? And I just want to encourage you in it. I think it's inspirational. Like I actually was after this interview, I was going to present to Stu like, hey dude, let's go for a hike, because I just love being in the wilderness. I love being in the mountains, and I've got like an itch just from you talking about it. So it's inspirational, and also the fact that you're what you're looking to build is very. I just think it's an awesome place to be, and you're fighting that story that you're telling yourself that this isn't really me. I don't put myself out there, and I'm comfortable with it, but yet you're doing it. And I love that you're pushing through it to help and to serve others and to be value add. And to me, that is, that's an amazing place to be. And I just want to encourage you that while it may not feel natural to you, I think people are going to respond very, very well to it. And we're super excited, Stuart and I, selfishly, for all the free gear that you get. The Hoka Speed Goats are something that, size 11.5. Or something I'm really looking forward to receiving to be hitting the mountains in some comfy foot gear. So just throwing that out there. So keep it up, man.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and I thank you guys for everything. And it's been through your guys' podcast and through the masterminds and whatnot. My why has changed and developed, and I think people don't realize their why. Mine started out very selfishly. I wanted out of my W-2. And now it's developed, and that's one reason why I want to put myself out there is I want to help others. I can't take it with me. So whatever I earn, my wife and I aren't fortunate enough to have kids, so we don't have heirs. I can't take it with me. She can't take it with her. So we really want to work on giving back. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm going to be working on, nonprofit for vets. I had a life-changing experience rafting the Grand Canyon for 7 days, just phenomenal. I can't say enough about that. But I want to help other vets and whatnot find that. And so through your guys' podcast, it's been absolutely wonderful, helping me change my why. Actually refine it, not necessarily change it, but refine it and realize that it's not about me. It's about giving back. It's about the community and where I want to get to. So I just want to thank you guys for that, and look forward to seeing where everything goes.
Yeah, dude, me too, man. I'm so pumped that you're a part of the Storehouse Tribe, and this has been a fun conversation. We could probably go another hour of continuing to talk about going into the why and everything else. So maybe we'll have to have you come back on in a later date.
Yeah.
Guys and gals, hey, go check out the runninginvestor.com. I'll put a link in the show notes. Shad, this has been a really fun conversation, man. I appreciate you jumping on with us. And next time you're in Colorado, I'll go running with you. I promise.
I appreciate it. And I expect David to be out there too.
I'll be out there.
We'll take it nice and easy for him.
Maybe he'll just be the water guy. He'll just hand you some water along the way.
Hey, and then I propose we go to the gym after that, and we can all judge each other there as well.
Hey, you want to see how little I can lift? Yeah, I work on my lower body.
Yeah, right.
My upper body, not so much. But yes. And I'm going to come out there and go snowboarding with you guys.
Yeah, buddy.
It's been many years since I've been on a snowboard, but you guys want some good laughs? Yeah, we'll have some good.
Hey, we love laughing on the mountain, so that's good.
So I appreciate it. I appreciate everything from you guys. We'll definitely have to do this again and go from there.
For sure. All right, guys and gals. Hey, if this meant something to you, reach out to Shad. He is a wealth of knowledge on all things, business, real estate, military, and obviously running. But he's great mindset, super awesome dude. And share this with somebody. If this meant something to you, share it with someone. Tell someone about this podcast. Share it on your socials, and go fill the storehouse.
Yeah, friends, thank you so much, Shad. We'll see you tomorrow, bright and early at the Mastermind. Look forward to it, and thank you so much for your time, buddy. And make it a great day, friends. See ya. Yeah, crush it.
Thanks for listening to Filling the Storehouse. If you enjoyed our show, please subscribe and share it with someone you love. And if you really felt inspired, leave a 5-star review so we could continue to grow and help other Christian entrepreneurs fill their storehouse. If you're interested in creating financial freedom through real estate investing, be sure to check out our website at storehouse310turnkey.com. We'd love to serve you through our platform of building the kingdom. Just click on the contact link and we'll reply to you as soon as we can. Again, thanks so much for listening. Now go fill your storehouse and make it a great day.